So we are here at this particular point in line with the dictates of the guidelines that when we are done, we should be able to make public the outcomes, especially of the nomination processes. So we're not just doing it for just the purpose of interfacing with you, but we are doing it purely in line also with the dictate of the guidelines of the African National Congress Youth League leading to this National Congress. So I'm not going to take much of your time. I'm going to request Comrade Jomo to take us through what would have happened in as far as the process until now and what you must anticipate as we move forward. Comrade Jomo, without much ado, can I hand over to you?
Jomo Nyambi. Greetings to members of the media that are here. Let me also acknowledge the representatives of the observers coming from the different provinces we have in South Africa of the Youth League, members of the election committee, the convener. I'll read the statement as is, but I must indicate that the entire committee will be ready to deal with any question that may be coming to our side. The ANC appointed the following members to serve as the electoral committee to assist in facilitating election process for the 26th National Congress. Comrade Thandi Tobias, the convener, Jomo Nyambi, deputy convener, Comrade Niki Wenum, still on her way to the venue, Comrade Donald Selamulela, the facilitator, Comrade Andrew Dipila, former DP, Comrade Andrew Dipila is our former DP, Comrade Seiso Mohai, and Comrade Manja Moropa as the secretary. The committee was favored with all necessary documents to ensure seamless processing of its work. These include the Constitution of the Youth League, roadmap, guidelines, and sign-off verification reports. The elections agency was officially appointed as the service provider to conduct the elections. On Tuesday, the 27th of June, 2023, the committee met with the agency and officially appointed observers representing ANC Youth League provincial structures. As I've acknowledged them, they are part of this press briefing. The agency further provided all nomination boxes which were properly sealed for unsealing in the presence of all the observers. The counting of nominations started immediately after the opening of the boxes, with the first phase being for the ANC Youth League official position in line with the guidelines. The rules for nominations and elections of NEC dictates as follows. 1, for the official position of President, Deputy President, Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, and Treasurer General, for the name to be on the ballot must have been supported by 20% of all branches that passed audit for National Congress. Roman figure 2, in the conference, a name must be supported by 25% of delegates in the Congress to be on the ballot paper. Number 3, for additional members, a name will be on the ballot if nominated by 10% of branches that passed audit. A name shall alternatively make the ballot if nominated and supported by 20% of delegates in the Congress. In line with the above, the following candidates reached threshold and qualified to be on the ballot. For President, it's Malachi Colin. For Deputy President, Mgcina Phumzile. Secretary General, Ngudle Mntu Wokolo. Deputy Secretary General, Shiviti Tsakani. Treasurer General, Masilela Zwelo. The consolidation of additional members is currently underway and will be completed later tonight. This is the outcome of the process we are still involved in as an electoral committee working with the election agency. Thank you very much, Facilitator, Comrade Donald.
Thanks very much, Comrade Jomo. I'm going to allow comrades to pose questions if there are questions to be posed. At the back there, some of our observers are already here. I see comrades from KZN and Northern Cape. If you can just wave so that, yeah, if you can stand, colleagues, with due respect. I think, yeah, the other comrades are here, Free State, Northwest, yeah. I'm not sure where is Limpopo, yeah. But I'm going to, yeah, Limpopo and Western Cape and Mpumalanga. I think they'll be arriving anytime soon. I'm going to allow questions, colleagues, so that we are on the same page. On that note, Comrade Amos, you can start there. Yeah, on your row.
Just in terms of the nominees, just a point of clarity. Sorry, my name is Lize Gatando. I'm from the Mail and Guardian. For clarity, the names that you have just given us, there is one person who is eligible in terms of the nominations for president, and that's Colin Malachi. Is that correct? I just want to get clarity on whether Colin will be opposed, as well as the secretary and all the other positions. Do they have people who are opposing them or contending? Your observation of this conference. Registrations are taking place. We've seen videos of seemingly chaotic scenes at the registration point. What do you say to this? What do you say to the kind of seemingly chaotic process that is taking place? There's also been complaints around audits by some regions and provinces. I spoke to the Western Cape. I was speaking to Smatlengi just earlier today. I spoke to the Western Cape. I spoke to Vembe. I spoke to Sedibeng. And I believe Amatole in the Eastern Cape. And they were all complaining about the same thing, is that they were either not audited or didn't get verification. So they do not know whether they are eligible, their delegates are eligible to participate in this conference. Just give us clarity on that. Thank you.
Samkele Masego from the SABC. My question follows that of Lizega. On the registration, what is causing the delays in the registration process, and especially on the issue of the audits of this Congress of the Youth League? How far are the audits? Have you concluded them? Then secondly, on the Eastern Cape, did the Eastern Cape have a legitimate Congress of the Youth League, or was it illegitimate? Thirdly, is the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Vutambalula, interfering in the affairs of the Youth League as alleged by those who support Apiwe Mkhangelo? Thank you. And the organizer there at Lutuli House, Mtutuz Manana, has been fingered as having his hands in the cookie jar of the Youth League. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mawande from the Sunday World. Perhaps as a start, leadership there on the top table, would you be able to give us a breakdown on the numbers? These ones were nominated. Also, generally, how many branches were you did pass the audit that led to these nominations that you just announced? And then secondly, as a rider to Masega's last question, are you guys seated up there knowing all the controversies that are going on and people being fingered? You as the structure, would you confidently say that yours was work that is beyond reproach? There's not going to be any fingering further that says that this election committee, was also compromised. It had a predetermined outcome and stuff like that. And maybe to emphasize the question of Lizega, 20% seems like a very, very low threshold to have one person nominated per position. Thank you very much. If you can also clarify on that particular point. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I just want to add to a few of the points that my colleagues have made. My name is Tsili Madia. I'm from Eyewitness News. I know Lizeka mentioned Vembe, but Vembe has also sent a legal letter to the ANC, and at the heart of that letter is they've had concerns that remain unanswered. There was a meeting with the task team, with the ANC leadership with Vembe. You said you'd go back and give a response. They're claiming that that's never happened. And now they're threatening to go to court. And is that my phone there ringing? Sorry, I have a meeting at 6. I'll switch it off, sorry. And then the other thing is, would you be surprised if tomorrow this thing is turned into a consultative conference of sorts? Have you done enough to not go where the Youth League has gone all these other times, where organizing has been so bad that there's no other way? Because young people are crying about autonomy. So at a point like this, are you certain and secure that this is a conference that will sit and come up with a leadership? Or will it be so badly done that it has to be a write-off? Thank you. My alarm is going.
Thanks very much. Ugare Amos is focusing on the other side. Ugare Lena clean sweep. Okay, my name is Muluku Mloto from ENCA. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember any of the ANC Youth League Congresses where the officials, all of them, were elected unopposed, which seems to be the case here. If you, after reading out these names of people that you say have met the threshold, what does it mean for an organization of young people that you say is the preparatory school of the future leaders of the ANC, where there's no contest whatsoever?
Norman Masungwini from City Press. Seeing that there is a lot of problems and complaints from other regions, which my colleagues have already mentioned, in terms of numbers, how many delegates are you expecting to be here? And in that regard, are you certain that those delegates represent the correct structures, branches, and provinces, that at the end of this conference, you are not going to be challenged in court for having had bogus delegates at the Congress? Thank you.
Are we fine, Amos? Okay, colleagues are going to... Okay. So, colleagues will assist in answering the questions, but of course, they will be the questions that I would like to start by answering so that we lay the ground and we're on the same page. Firstly, I must indicate that to a greater extent, our work as a committee is to work based on the reports that we would have received from those who are the leadership. In this regard, it will be the National Youth Task Team, or the NYTT. Now, that's the basis of which we would have done our work. And that is why, when I indicated, it was very important for me to indicate that we have observers here amongst us, so that you understand that there is nothing that we are doing that we leave the structures of the Youth League behind. It was important that the ANC appoint this particular committee so that it can assist in overseeing and driving this particular process, of course supported by election agents. Is the ANC interfering with the process, the SG, the organizing? Now, for you to understand that, you need Mr. Masego, to understand the context of where we are. So now you are dealing with a task team. Now the task team is charged with rebuilding the structures of the Youth League and bringing them to this particular Congress. A work I think that they've done thoroughly well up to now, because at least we have a Congress that is about to sit. Now, anytime, because the SG and the organizing are the ones who are closer with this particular process, overseeing this process, mandated by the National Executive Committee to ensure that the organizing department and the SG as the full-time person in the office in the tool house. Obviously, from time to time, there'll be those aspirations that they might be interfering or so forth, because from time to time, is the one who must receive reports from these structures and question these particular reports. The Youth League does not have its own organizing machinery at this particular point. It's supported by the organizing machinery of the African National Congress. Now, that particular organizing machinery obviously is led by Comrade Manana. So that is the reason why from time to time his name will appear, or from time to time his name will be mentioned. So you must understand that particular context, that you are dealing with the structure that is in a rebuilding process, overseen by the Secretary General of the organization, supported by the organizing department. That is why from time to time you'll hear their names being mentioned. And to that regard, young people as young people, if certain process do not favor them, they'll think that probably Osman Tlengi, Donald favors so and so forth. But what is important is that we exercise our work as the Electoral Committee based on that particular issue. We have been locked in our room there for the past 2-3 days from the 27th, dealing with this, because we had to be thorough and clinical. We had received around the total branches which were audited were 3,318, and those that passed or qualified audit were 2,972. So you can imagine we had to make sure that we go through all that with our observers verified to have this particular outcome that we are able to pronounce before you. But this outcome, like, is important, as Comrade Jomo would have said. It does not mean there is no contest, because there is still a room that other comrades, and unfortunately in terms of the guidelines, we are only expected to pronounce those who made it to the ballot. Not those who may not have made it at this particular point to the ballot. But we can't say there is no contest or this conference is going unopposed, Mr. Mlot. We still to see what is going to happen as we move to the floor. But from where we are seated, this is the outcome that would have came, and we are pronounced, would have desired perhaps to give you a picture of what would have happened for every position, but we are restricted because we are operating within a particular frame of the law, so that we don't contaminate our process, to only pronounce those that at this stage would have made to the ballot. Colleagues have noted other questions, and I think they'll take them through. Comrade Jami.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and comrades. Tsidi, the decision to continue with Congress lies with the delegates. The Congress is beginning tomorrow morning. If the Congress, in their wisdom of engagement, reaches the decision to say, let's change the form and content of what has brought us here, it lies with them. It has got nothing to do with us, and we'll accept that with warm hearts. But we need to understand something, that before this Congress was held, the NYTT of the Youth League of the ANC shared the roadmap with the branches. They understood the process that must unfold for them to reach Nasrec this weekend. The regions that today spoke to you to say they still have got issues around audit, they know where to go to. They must present their issues about audit to the NYTT. We, as the Electoral Committee, we will await any other matter that is put before us by the NYTT after having received those and processed them, and feeling that some of them must then come to us for processing in the context of the work of the Electoral Committee. I can assure you that the work that we are doing it beyond reproach. For sure, if you can look at this team here, number one, none of us are still in the age limit to be members of the ANC Youth League. But we all have an interest in seeing the Youth League of the ANC being revived and playing its historical role amongst the young people of the Republic of South Africa, for them to have also a path towards a better life. And therefore, having accepted to be part of this independent unit was an acceptance that was saying, we are going to deal with this matter without favor, without prejudice, but only going to work on the evidence presented to us. But that is why also in the work we are doing, we are supported by the observers of the provinces of the ANC Youth League that are there with us for them to observe this process, and they've got the right that at the point they might not be happy with what is taking place, they are able to say, wait, Electoral Committee, we don't understand that situation or that process, take us through. And we are very patient, we explain that, and therefore we are proud that what we are presenting to you now has been a process undertook by the Electoral Committee in conjunction with the observers from the ANC Youth League. And we hope that at the end of Congress, everybody will be able to be proud with the outcome of Congress. I thank you.
The words there of Andrew Dipela, who is speaking for the National Youth Task Team. They are preparing for the elective conference of the ANC Youth League this weekend, and it has been a moment, Bungiwe, that's 8 years in the making. The last time they had an elected president of the ANC Youth League was Colin Maine, who was back in 2015. So a significant moment.
Yeah.
We're just hearing about some of the details there.
And interesting to note that some of those who have made it to, of course, the names that have made it to the ballot through branch nominations, President Colin Malachi, Phumzile Mgcina for Deputy President, Secretary General Mduwoxolo Ngudle, Deputy Secretary Zakani Shiviti, and Treasurer Zwelo Masilela. And of course, it'll be interesting to see some of those nominations probably from the floor as well.
But as always, you know, we call it texture in journalism. I'm sure there will be a lot of that to look forward to this weekend as well, and to see whether this gets off the ground as envisaged. Samkelo is there along with our political team, so we'll bring you all the details as they happen.